was finally like, yeah, I'm doing this. Then I got laid off from my job in software engineering as I'm making these videos teaching people about software engineering. And it just pummeled me. How can I make videos teaching people to code when I got laid off from my job coding? The imposter syndrome is so real. I had just made a video called 10 interview tips with quote Emily. Well, I guess I need to use these tips. So many people got laid off at the same time. The past year or so, that's just how it's been in tech. Layoffs after layoffs after layoffs, and it's horrible. It leads you to just think that somehow it's your fault. You could have prevented this, or you could have done better. There's just so much self-doubt attached to a layoff. Even when you thought your imposter syndrome was over, if you get laid off, your imposter syndrome, oh yeah, it comes back. I've always been a very overachiever at work, intense person, and for me, it was just such a blow to my ego getting laid off. It doesn't mean that I'm not smart. It doesn't mean that I don't know what I'm doing. And it doesn't mean that for you either, assuming you've gotten laid off if you're watching this video. For anyone that is in that position right now, or that has been in the past or anything, I feel for you so deeply, and I just want you to know that it's going to be okay. It's going to get better. You have to remember that you are worthy and that you can do this, because there are still jobs out there. ChatGPT is not taking our jobs, at least not right now. ChatGPT honestly can help you get another job. It helped me a lot. I mean, I fixed my resume using ChatGPT. I wrote a lot of cover letters using it. And there was a lot of panic when it first released of just people being like, well, we're done. Our jobs are done, this or that. And they might be eventually, but the thing is there's always still going to be someone that needs to figure out what the heck is going on. I think we at least have time. It took me 3 months to find a new job. 3 months. I didn't realize at the time that I actually had been spoiled. It didn't take me that long the other times. And that's because the other times I've looked for jobs, it's been kind of more of a booming market, a market that's really looking for engineers. Now I think it's more like an even playing ground of engineers looking for jobs and jobs looking for engineers. Truthfully, it's really tough out there. It's really tough. And interviewing after you've gone through a layoff is so challenging because you're already so down on yourself. You're doubting yourself. You don't even know why you got laid off. In my situation, I was like, was it me? It doesn't really matter what the reason is. You're gonna doubt yourself. It's gonna be okay. Give yourself grace. Give yourself time. Allow yourself to, just not be okay for a bit and just kind of grieve. Remember why you had the job that you already had to begin with. Remember why you love engineering. Remember why you love whatever field you're in. I applied to over 60 companies, and I heard back from maybe 5 of those 60 companies, other than automated rejection emails. I found that working with recruiters was a way easier way in. My applications didn't seem to have the same weight as when I was referred to a place or working specifically with a recruiter. I talked to a lot of companies on the phone, but I probably did 6 or 7 interviews, full interviews. I messed up a handful of them because look, after you get laid off, you're not at your best self. I wasn't at my best self, I know that. The self-doubt set in so much. Before I even started the interview, I had already told myself, I'm gonna mess this up. I'm not gonna do a good job. If you go into an interview with that mentality, of course you're not gonna do well. And of course you're gonna get so stressed during a coding challenge that you don't finish it, or you do it a way that you would never have done. And then after the interview finishes, you remember and realize what you would have done differently. I did a lot more phone interviews, and that is honestly one of the toughest parts about job searching is being on the phone with a recruiter or with a company and just seeing if it's a match. It's like dating. It's like trying to find the perfect, the place where they want you, you want them. That's difficult to do. And like I said, it's also difficult to do when you got let go from a place and you're feeling weird, insecure, imposter syndrome. It's really difficult to put yourself right back out there and expect yourself to be 100%, because how could you be 100%? Getting laid off at a company doesn't impact or reflect who you are as an engineer. Go through all of your old projects that you've done. Think about the accomplishments that you've had. Remember those things and say, okay, yeah, I actually do know what I'm doing. And try and think about that before you go into an interview. If someone is doubting themselves an interviewer is going to question that. I mean, it's not a reason to reject a candidate necessarily whatsoever. It's just like, if someone's doubting themselves, the interviewer is going to be like, what's going on here? Because it's tough to interview someone. You want to make sure you hire the right candidate. It's tough to get that correct snapshot in a 30-minute conversation, right? Take as much time as you can to sit with yourself and become okay with the fact that you got laid off, and to remember that you still are worthy, you still can get a new job, you still will, and you still are awesome. Really brush up on concepts. It's tough, especially if there's any people watching this that have been in engineering for a long time and maybe they've been at their company for years. Going back to interviewing after years of working at a place is tough. What you're doing every day is practical engineering work, which is way different than what you're doing in an interview. You have to remember how to interview again. And you have to remember things like algorithms, array methods, core concepts of React, hooks, use memo, use context, so many things that we might not think about every day, but they're important to brush up on for interviews because I mean, you know it, I'm sure, like it's in the back of your head. I know that was how it was for me, but you have to make sure that you brush up on it before an interview because the thing is, one, you may have intense imposter syndrome. I did. And two, when you have that imposter syndrome, if someone asks you a question, even if you know the answer, it might just fly right out of your head because you're so stressed and so upset and so unsure about yourself that you're not going to remember it. There's tons of people getting laid off, tons of talented people out there that I know that I've worked with that are so smart and so amazing at what they do when they get laid off. It's just life. It's a part of it. And this is the industry that we're in. Constantly is adapting, changing. We have to learn new concepts. We have to learn new technology. And that's kind of part of the beauty of software engineering as well as it's the frustration. Part of the beauty is continuing to learn new things and continuing to realize, oh, wow, maybe I wasn't doing this the most optimal way and there's a better way. Cool. You can do this even if it feels like you can't. And you are valid and you are awesome and you are a software engineer, even if the imposter syndrome tells you that you're not. If there's anything at all that I can help you with, please let me know. Please leave a comment down below of anything that you're struggling with right now when it comes to interviewing, or I don't know, what JavaScript concepts or any video that I could create to help you. I'm here. My channel's here. Happy to do it together. Thanks for watching.